Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're delving into a topic that hits incredibly close to home for so many: divorce. Beyond the intense emotional whirlwind, the grief, the anger, relief, fear, there's this stark financial reality. And most people simply aren't prepared for it. Especially now in 2025, it's really no longer just about splitting assets down the middle. It's about completely rebuilding your financial identity, often in a world that feels like it wasn't designed for the suddenly single.
And that's precisely why we're here. Our mission with this deep dive is really to empower you, to help you reclaim your financial future, to show you how to build something secure even if, your world feels shattered right now. We're going to unpack what the divorcee's dollar truly means in today's rapidly shifting economic landscape.
You got it, because 2025 adds entirely new layers of complexity to this already challenging journey. We're talking rapidly changing economic landscapes, the surprising rise of digital assets that didn't even exist a decade ago,
What?
and evolving living arrangements that reshape everything. So what's surprising you the most about these new complexities in 2025?
That's a great question because it really isn't just about the traditional division of property anymore. One of the biggest and frankly most overlooked challenges is what we call the digital asset dilemma.
Hmm.
Many couples now hold significant wealth in things like cryptocurrencies, NFTs, those unique digital tokens, online businesses, maybe even valuable gaming accounts. The issue is traditional divorce lawyers often don't understand how to value these assets or even how to find them sometimes.
So it's not just a problem of fair division, but there's a real potential for hidden wealth or like unfair settlements because these assets are so new and, well, decentralized.
Exactly. They can be incredibly easy to hide or move around. It adds a whole new layer of difficulty to the discovery process.
And it's not just the big, flashy digital assets,
Mhm.
right? What about the everyday stuff? Those expenses that suddenly become a solo burden?
Yeah, you're touching on what we call subscription service overload. Think about it. After a divorce, you often find yourself shouldering the full cost of all those shared services. Streaming, software subscriptions, apps you barely use individually. That familiar drip drip. 10 bucks here, 15 there. It, it really, really adds up.
So it's more than just a few dollars. It's like death by a thousand paper cuts to your bank account, isn't it? This subscription creep. It can seriously inflate a new single-person budget and lead to unexpected financial strain right when you're trying to adjust.
And compounding that, especially with current inflation, is what we're calling the inflationary gap of single living.
Hmm.
It's a common misconception, that when a household splits rent, utilities, groceries, they just have. That's almost never the case. Single individuals often face a disproportionately higher cost of living compared to couples. It means old budgets that worked for two. They're completely unfeasible for one.
Right, so it's not just splitting costs, it's facing a kind of single-person premium on almost everything,
Yeah.
like a hidden tax on being alone that just eats away at savings and creates constant pressure, which raises an important question. How do you even begin to tackle this huge shift?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting because we've got some cutting-edge, actionable strategies for you to regain your financial footing. First up, and this is crucial in the digital age, is the Digital Asset Discovery and Valuation Audit.
Okay, that sounds pretty intense, like something out of a spy novel. How does someone actually do that?
It sounds complex, but it's essential. We advise hiring a certified divorce financial analyst, a CDFA, or maybe a forensic accountant who specializes in digital assets. They can use specialized tools like blockchain analytics tools, sort of like a detective's magnifying glass for digital money, and smart contract auditors, basically to identify, value, and track these holdings. And crucially, you need to involve your legal team early on. The real insight here: don't leave cryptocurrency on the table just because your lawyer doesn't quite get it. It could be a really significant part of your future.
Okay, that makes sense. And picking up on that subscription overload we talked about, the next strategy is the subscription service and digital footprint pruning.
Hmm.
This is about taking back control of those recurring charges. Yeah.
Absolutely. We recommend using digital expense tracker apps, things like Truebill or Rocket Money, to identify all your recurring subscriptions. Then, well, it's time to be a bit ruthless. Prioritize and cancel anything non-essential. You also absolutely need to update all your billing information to your new individual accounts. And here's a subtle but important one. Maybe consider privacy tools that show you where your data is being used. Some data sharing agreements might be tied to old joint accounts. You want to sever those ties.
The benefits there seem pretty immediate. It instantly reduces your monthly overhead, simplifies things, boosts your digital security, and frees up crucial cash flow to focus on rebuilding savings or paying down debt. It's really about stopping the financial bleed, right?
Exactly. Following that, we have the single-scale budget and expense recalibration. And this is not just about dividing your old budget by two. You really need to start fresh. Use a budgeting app like YNAB or Mint or even just a detailed spreadsheet to track every dollar for at least, say, 3 months. YNA, for instance, uses a zero-based budgeting approach. You give every dollar a job before you spend it. That can be transformative for gaining strict control.
That deep dive into your own spending sounds key, especially when you're trying to figure out what your new normal looks like financially.
Precisely. You need to research current market rates for single-person housing, utilities, transportation in your area. Maybe look for community groups or online forums for single adults. They can give you realistic insights into single-person expenses in 2025. And don't forget the micro-adjustments, cooking more at home, maybe exploring public transport. This creates a realistic financial roadmap for your new life. It prevents those budget shortfalls and empowers you to make informed decisions about housing or lifestyle. It's the level of detail required for true financial independence in today's economy.
Okay, to make this really concrete, let's talk about Sarah. She's 42, lives in Phoenix, Arizona, married 15 years, spent much of that time as a stay-at-home parent. Her husband, Mark, handled pretty much everything financial, especially the techie stuff, like crypto. So when divorce hit, it wasn't just heartbreak, it was this like gut punch of financial illiteracy. She felt completely adrift, worried about her home, her credit, just her future.
Sarah's initial struggles were incredibly typical, unfortunately. She was completely overwhelmed. Shared bank accounts, joint credit cards. She'd relied on Mark for all the investment decisions. She had no real idea of the extent of their digital assets. She feared losing her home. And the prospect of re-entering the workforce after years away, that was daunting. Even her credit score, largely built on Mark's income, was a huge concern.
But Sarah didn't just, stand by. She decided to fight for her financial future. As a digital asset detective, actually on advice from a friend who'd been through something similar, she hired a CDFA. And that CDFA brought in a crypto specialist. The process was, well, daunting for her, but they uncovered a significant amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum, stuff Mark had purchased through various exchanges. When Sarah realized the extent of his hidden crypto, wow, it wasn't just a number. It was this wave of anger, but then surprisingly, a glimmer of hope. Hope that she could maybe reclaim some financial stability. Her legal team then successfully argued for a portion of these volatile assets to be liquidated and held in escrow. That ensured tangible value was part of the settlement.
Yeah, that kind of discovery can be truly transformative for someone feeling powerless in that situation.
Absolutely. Then came the subscription slaughter and credit cleanup. Even while the divorce was still ongoing, Sarah used a budgeting app to audit all her recurring payments. She found multiple redundant streaming services, software subscriptions she just didn't need anymore. It was kind of like, wait, I'm literally subsidizing my ex's Netflix while I'm trying to figure out how to buy groceries for one.
Crucially, she opened her own bank account and secured a low-limit credit card, just in her name, to start rebuilding her individual credit history. She understood that this was her lifeline moving forward.
That proactive step is so key. Regaining independence really starts there. Totally. Finally, with her lean, mean, single budget, instead of just blindly cutting expenses, Sarah rebuilt her budget completely from the ground up. She researched the average living costs for a single person in Phoenix, and she had to face a difficult truth. She couldn't afford their old family home alone, so instead of trying to keep it and struggling, she negotiated for a larger share of Mark's traditional investments. She used a portion of that for a down payment on a smaller, more manageable condo. That reduced her monthly housing burden significantly by about $800. She even started exploring local community gardens to cut down on food costs, turned a financial necessity into a community connection, which is pretty cool.
Sarah's results were, truly quantifiable. But more importantly, they represent a significant regaining of control. She secured 30% of the jointly owned digital assets, valued at over $150,000 at settlement, and a portion was wisely diversified into more stable investments. She cut her monthly subscription expenses by $150. Doesn't sound huge, maybe, but it made a real difference month to month. Her individual credit score jumped 80 points within just 6 months of the divorce finalization. That's huge. And she moved into a new home with a mortgage payment $800 lower than her half the previous joint mortgage. That gave her critical breathing room. Breathing room to focus on re-entering the workforce without immediate financial panic hanging over her. Sarah's story really shows the tangible benefits of these modern strategies when you apply them effectively, and the powerful impact of taking charge.
Sarah's journey really highlights how quickly this whole financial landscape shifts, doesn't it? When you look at someone like Sarah, what's the most powerful lesson her journey teaches us about financial resilience and divorce today? And maybe what are some of the other significant trends or challenges you're seeing financial experts grapple with right now?
Well, Sarah's story underscores the absolute necessity of being proactive and informed, especially about those non-traditional assets. Her success wasn't just about getting a good settlement amount. It was about gaining financial literacy and reclaiming her agency. That's key. As for other challenges, one significant area is how current U.S. inflation rates are forcing adjustments to alimony or child support calculations. Historically, these might have been set and largely forgotten, right? But with today's economic volatility, there's a growing need to factor in cost of living adjustments to ensure long-term stability for recipients. It's really about building in resilience from the start of the agreement.
That makes so much sense, especially with how much prices have fluctuated recently. Is there anything else that's really changing the game, particularly for maybe older Americans going through this?
Absolutely. The rise of gray divorce among older Americans, brings unique financial planning considerations, particularly around retirement accounts and healthcare costs. For a couple nearing retirement, dividing a 401k or a pension means understanding complex rules, potentially navigating significant tax implications. It's not simple. And healthcare, too, becomes a massive individual expense post-divorce, especially if one spouse was on the other's plan. These aren't just minor adjustments. They require a complete reevaluation of long-term financial security for a life stage many didn't anticipate navigating alone.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. So what does this all mean for some of those, outdated beliefs, those old wives' tales about divorce finance that still float around? What's a big one you hear that just isn't true anymore in 2025?
Okay, let's debunk a big one. The myth that my ex's debt is no longer my problem after the divorce is final. That's a dangerous assumption. The modern reality in 2025 is that while the divorce decree assigns responsibility for the debt, it does not absolve you from joint debt in the eyes of the creditor. If your name is still on that joint credit card, or the mortgage or loan, missed payments by your ex will still hit your credit score. And creditors are, frankly, more aggressive than ever. The truth is, you need to actively work to close those joint accounts before or immediately after separation. Refinance jointly held mortgages into one name, or legally remove your name from shared loans. And always, always get written confirmation from the creditors. Your credit score is like your financial passport, right? Don't let someone else ruin it.
That's a crucial distinction. Okay, what about alimony? Lots of people still operate under the old assumption that alimony is tax deductible for the payer and taxable for the recipient, like it used to be. Is that still true?
Nope, not anymore. And this is a huge change that impacts financial planning dramatically. For divorce decrees finalized after December 31st, 2018, alimony payments are neither tax deductible for the payer nor taxable income for the recipient at the federal level in the U.S. This means if you're the recipient, you're not getting taxed on it. But if you're the payer, you can't deduct it from your income. The truth is, you need to understand the specific tax implications based on when your divorce was finalized. It's critical. This change means you really need to factor in the full gross amount of alimony when budgeting, as there's no tax break on either side, federally speaking. It can really affect the net amount received compared to older divorces.
Got it. And finally, the myth. My retirement accounts are safe. They're in my name. That sounds logical on the surface, but what's the modern reality there?
Yeah, that logic doesn't hold up legally. The modern reality in 2025 is that in most U.S. states, retirement accounts, your 401ks, IRAs, pensions, that were accumulated during the marriage, they're considered marital property. It doesn't matter whose name is technically on the account. And dividing employer-sponsored plans specifically requires something called a Qualified Domestic Relations Order, or QDRO. This isn't just a simple transfer form. It's a highly specific court-issued order. It's absolutely essential to avoid massive tax penalties and ensure your retirement savings are properly divided. The truth here, always consult with a CDFA and your attorney to ensure proper division and transfer of these retirement assets using QDROs or other appropriate methods. It avoids tax pitfalls and protects your long-term security.
Okay, it's clear that technology can be a really powerful ally in this whole financial recovery process, moving way beyond just the basics now. What kinds of tools are out there that our listeners should maybe know about?
Indeed. So take forensic financial software, things like DivorceMate or family law software. These are typically used by CDFAs and attorneys, not usually the individuals themselves, but they use them to compile, organize, and analyze complex financial data during the discovery phase. They can track spending patterns, help identify potentially hidden assets, and project future financial scenarios for each spouse. It makes asset division more transparent and equitable. Now, while most of you won't use these directly, just understanding they exist empowers you. You can ask your legal or financial team if such tools are being leveraged for your case to ensure a really thorough financial investigation.
Right. And then for your own direct financial health, credit monitoring and repair apps like Credit Karma or maybe the Experian app with alerts, those are invaluable, aren't they? Post-divorce, your credit score can definitely take a hit, especially if joint accounts are mishandled by an ex. These apps provide real-time monitoring, score updates, alerts for suspicious activity. They often offer personalized advice for rebuilding credit too. So this helps you proactively monitor your credit, identify any lingering joint account issues, and take steps to build a strong individual credit profile, which is just crucial for renting, buying a home, or securing loans later on.
Absolutely. And then there are the modern budgeting and expense tracking apps like YMB, Simplified by Quicken, or Rocket Money. These aren't just for basic tracking anymore. Many offer really robust categorization, goal setting, even predictive budgeting features. Rocket Money, for instance, is excellent at identifying and helping you cancel those unwanted subscriptions we talked about. YME's zero-based budgeting method can be truly transformative for folks needing strict control over every dollar. These tools give you a clear, real-time picture of your new income and expenses. They help you adapt to a single-income household, cut unnecessary spending, and strategically allocate funds for rebuilding savings and hitting new financial goals. They're pretty essential tools for a financial reinvention post-divorce, I'd say.
It's really fascinating to see how fast this whole landscape is evolving. Let's look ahead a bit. What's next for divorce finance in the coming 5 years or so, say 2025 to 2030? What kind of trends should people maybe be aware of?
Well, one major trend we're anticipating is the increased role of AI-powered financial mediation. AI could potentially assist mediators in proposing more data-driven, equitable asset division scenarios. The idea is it might reduce conflict and maybe even legal fees. Think of it like a super smart spreadsheet that crunches enormous amounts of data and suggests fair outcomes based on precedents and financial models.
That sounds incredibly efficient, almost futuristic. But I'm curious, does it risk losing some of the human element in such a personal process?
That's a critical point and a valid concern. While AI can enhance efficiency and potentially fairness through data analysis, human empathy, judgment, and ethical oversight will remain absolutely crucial. It's really about augmenting human decision-making, not replacing it entirely. At least that's the hope. Another significant shift we're seeing is an increased focus on human capital. So beyond just the traditional assets like houses and bank accounts, divorce settlements may increasingly consider the value of future earning potential, especially for spouses who maybe sacrifice careers to support the family. This could lead to more innovative, long-term financial support structures that look beyond just what's in the bank today.
So it's kind of acknowledging the long-term sacrifice and the potential earning capacity that was given up during the marriage. That sounds like a really forward-thinking approach.
Absolutely. And finally, related to that, we're seeing a deeper recognition of mental health and money integration. The psychological impact of financial trauma during divorce is immense. It's real. So we're starting to see more integrated services that combine financial advice with therapy, recognizing that true financial healing often requires addressing the emotional toll, not just the spreadsheets.
Divorce is undoubtedly a major life transition, and while it feels overwhelming, it absolutely doesn't have to be a financial downfall. You really do have the power to take control of your divorcee's dollar.
And your journey to financial independence post-divorce, it starts now, really today. Here are some concrete first steps to get you on the right path. First, get organized and informed. Gather all financial documents, even the ones you weren't maybe familiar with during the marriage. Create a master list of all accounts, bank, credit, investment, and especially those digital assets. Second, build your team. Please don't try to go it alone. Consult a certified divorce financial analyst, CDFA, and an attorney specializing in family law. And if there are complex digital assets, seek out a forensic accountant. And third, start your new budget now. Don't wait for the divorce to be final. Begin tracking your individual expenses today to truly understand your new financial reality. It's empowering.
Right. And to help you on that journey here in 2025, here are some specific recommended resources. For a foundational book, you could look for Divorce in Your Money, The Essential Guide to Financial Sanity in Tough Times by Violet Woodhouse. Just remember to supplement it with current digital asset guides because that landscape is moving so fast. For a great website and organization, check out the Association of Divorce Financial Planners. That's adfp.org. They have a fantastic Find a CDFA tool to locate qualified professionals in your area. For apps, we highly recommend Rocket Money or Truebill for easily identifying and canceling subscriptions and getting a quick snapshot of your cash flow. Super helpful. And for community support, look for local divorce care financial modules or maybe online forums like Reddit's Our Divorce or Our Personal Finance for peer support and shared experiences. Just, always remember to cross-reference any advice you get from peers with professionals.
Your journey to financial independence post-divorce really does start now. Embrace the challenge, empower yourself with knowledge, and just remember, you've got this.